Do you ever wonder why things are the way they are? Of course you do. It's human nature. Why is the sky blue? Why is sugar sweet? Why did your parents get divorced? If you ask someone smart why the sky is blue, they grin and they puff up their chest and they say, well, it's because shorter wavelength electromagnetic radiation, like blue, is scattered more efficiently by atmospheric gas molecules than the longer wavelengths. People always pretend to know what's going on. But if you ask the follow-up question, why? Why do short wavelengths appear blue? And then ask why again to that answer and again, eventually even the most prodigious polymaths say, I don't know, or just because. This is why children are the wisest beings on the planet, because they are able to identify immediately that when it comes down to it, nobody actually knows anything of value. This is why they love to ask, why? It's to catch adults out who take themselves so seriously and pretend they know what's happening. I'm an adult and I don't know what's going on really at any level. Every single day I'm confused by the world and confused by myself. I don't know who I want to be or who I should want to be and if I should want to be anyone, and my thoughts are contradictory and colored by emotions that change with the wind. Now, what I have realized, at least for now, is that accepting the fact that existence really doesn't make much sense is much more freeing and relaxing than trying to figure out what existence is supposed to mean and how the mechanics of the universe are supposed to work. I've tried that. I took a quantum physics elective at uni many years ago, assuming it would help me understand how the world worked, and it only helped me understand that the world doesn't really work. When you look deep enough, we're just guessing. And there are some wonderful writers and philosophers that cottoned on to why this hurts pretty quickly, well before quantum physics was so popular. There's a great quote from Albert Camus, born as a working-class French Algerian in 1913, who said, "The absurd is born of this confrontation between the human need and the unreasonable silence of the world." Isn't that a fantastic quote that ironically explains the condition of us existing within the unexplained? When you hear about a truly horrible thing that happens, a drunk driver crashing into a preschool, you scream at the universe and you say, "What the hell, bro? What were you thinking? Why did you make drunk drivers? And if you're gonna make drunk drivers, why are you sending them careening into preschools? Why can't they crash into Gary's Pillow Emporium?" The universe, in response, says, we keep asking the universe, why am I lazy? Why do I have acne? Why can't I pass my exams? Why can't I attract the opposite sex? And again, we get, okay, fine, universe, you don't have any answers. But why the hell did you give us questions? Don't give us the ability to ask if you're not gonna answer. The absurd is born of this confrontation between the human need and the unreasonable silence of the world. Now, there is peace in accepting that either nothing matters, or if it does matter, we can't figure out why. As many of you know, one of my heroes is Kurt Vonnegut, who famously said, "I tell you, we are here on Earth to fart around, and don't let anybody tell you different." I draw on that all the time when I'm hating on myself for not working harder, when I choose to skateboard instead of promoting this show, when I choose to write a song I know I'll never release, when I stay up late playing board games with my friends, when I know I have a meeting first thing in the morning. This is what I try and remind myself. Yes, the thing I'm choosing to do instead of the thing I know I should do is not what someone conventionally successful would do. But hold on. Who exactly is defining success? Society? Why do I have to listen to society? My heart is telling me to fart around. My soul is saying fart around. Farting around is what matters to me, and society is saying I'm not supposed to do what matters to me. And I'm not sure if society knows what it's talking about. Have you seen it lately? It's a mess. Now, some of you will have read some of Franz Kafka's great works. I finished The Trial last year, about a guy who gets arrested by some cops. He asks, "Why did you arrest me?" And the cops say, "We've been ordered to arrest you." He says, "By who?" They say, by our superiors. He says, on what premise? And they say, we don't know. File a complaint if you have a problem with it. It'll take about 6 months to lodge. Then 6 months later, you'll have a hearing, and if you don't like the outcome, you can appeal in a year. And the plot plays out that this poor guy spends the rest of his life caught up in a invisible bureaucracy, trying to simply understand why he was arrested in the first place. Nobody he can access knows, nobody he can access cares. The trial is about being indefinitely bound by red tape and spending all your time filling out government forms. And this book has caused me more nightmares than any horror, thriller, or gore fest I've ever read. Now, I don't mean to be too cynical. Our world kind of works, and here in Australia, in a relative sense, it works better than a lot of other places. But you have to admit, society is kind of silly. I mean, when you break it down, we're all just monkeys trying to act important and pretend in meetings, wearing smart dry-cleaned shirts and skirts, that we're not constantly thinking about sex and food. That's the game we play every day. And you have to play the game. I mean, if you want perfectly reasonable things to want, like holidays and making art and giving money to charity and taking your kids to swimming lessons and soccer practice and buying your friends a round of beer now and then and getting good healthcare and a decent TV, yeah, you have to play the game. But it's when we take the game so seriously that we're losing sleep over it, that it's time to remind ourselves that this is all an elaborate, absurd construct by gorillas who don't actually know why they're even here, living and breathing. My fellow fans of Space Odyssey will remember that the only reason we have society in the first place is because 1 million years ago, aliens torpedoed Earth with a giant singing obelisk. But it's nice to remind ourselves that no one actually knows why we're here living and breathing. And we don't have to search for meaning. I mean, we can just think about how it's pretty cool to be here living and breathing. We can simply focus our thoughts on the matter of simple gratitude. Gratitude that we exist and are conscious and experience beauty and love. Everything else really is just a big joke. Thinking about absurdism can help us forgive ourselves when we fail in Western society or wherever we happen to be. Because we're failing a test written by people who really have no special authority on the structure of the cosmos, nor a firm grasp on the true nature of reality, nor a direct line to God or any other divine entity. Who is anyone, including yourself, to tell you you're a failure? What do they know? What do you know? Nobody knows anything. Isn't that a relief?